Welcome to Hardly, where books turn into 3 stories, refreshing your knowledge in minutes. Today, we study together the book Supercommunicators: How to Unlock the Secret Language of Connection by Charles Duhigg, in which we probe into the science and strategies behind mastering conversations to build deeper connections and influence outcomes effectively. Charles Duhigg is a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist. Don't go away. Hardly, the editor, will be right back with the story. Today, we dive into 3 intriguing stories that illustrate how the mastery of communication can transform interactions, deepen connections, and shape outcomes. These stories will take us through a high-stakes negotiation with a hedge fund manager, a courtroom drama with unexpected twists, and a heart-to-heart conversation between a doctor and a resistant patient. Each one showcases a different aspect of the secret language of connection. It was the height of the financial crisis when David, a senior manager at a hedge fund, faced a critical moment. His firm was hemorrhaging money, and the pressure to deliver results was at an all-time high. One morning, David found himself in a tense meeting with his boss, the head of the hedge fund, who was known for his abrasive and demanding style. The conversation started poorly, with accusations and raised voices. But David knew he had to find a way to turn the tide. Drawing from the principles he had learned about effective communication, he decided to change his approach. Instead of defending himself or countering his boss's arguments, he began to listen more intently. He noticed the subtle shifts in his boss's tone and body language, clues that revealed his underlying fears about the firm's future. David responded by acknowledging those fears and shared his own concerns, mirroring his boss's emotions. This act of empathy began to build a bridge between them. Slowly, the conversation shifted from a blame game to a more collaborative discussion about potential solutions. By the end of the meeting, they had formulated a plan that not only addressed their immediate concerns, but also set a new direction for the company. David's ability to synchronize with his boss and connect on a deeper emotional level turned a potential disaster into a productive dialogue. This encounter highlighted how understanding the emotional subtext in conversations could transform outcomes. Years later, in a courtroom in Milwaukee, another drama was unfolding. The jury was deliberating the fate of Leroy Reed, a man with severe cognitive impairments who had unwittingly purchased a firearm, violating state laws. The case seemed straightforward to many. After all, the facts were not in dispute. Reed was a convicted felon, and he had bought a gun. But one juror, Susan, saw things differently. She sensed there was more to the story. During the deliberations, she noticed the tension in the room, the way the other jurors seemed eager to rush to a verdict. Instead of pushing her perspective, Susan began asking questions. She inquired about the intent behind the law Reed had broken and the circumstances that led him to buy the gun. As she listened, she could feel the mood in the room shifting. The jurors, initially rigid in their positions, began to open up about their own experiences with misunderstandings and mistakes. Susan shared a story from her own life about a time she had been misunderstood by authorities and how terrifying that had felt. Her vulnerability created a space for others to reflect on their judgments. Slowly, the jury moved from a black and white view of the law to a more nuanced understanding of Reed's situation. They ended up reaching a more compassionate decision, opting for a lesser sentence. Susan's approach demonstrated how, by matching the emotional tone of a conversation and encouraging openness, one could steer a group towards empathy and understanding, even in a setting as formal as a jury room. Just as conversations in a jury room can shape lives, so too can the dialogues between a doctor and a patient. Dr. Laura, a renowned oncologist, had always prided herself on her ability to connect with her patients. However, one day, she encountered a particularly challenging case, a patient named Maria, who was in denial about her condition and refusing treatment. Dr. Laura knew that pushing Maria could backfire, causing her to retreat even further. Instead, she chose a different tactic. She began their next appointment not with a lecture about the urgency of treatment, but by sharing a personal story about a close friend who had battled a similar illness. She spoke about the fear and uncertainty her friend had faced, and how finding the courage to confront those fears had ultimately led to a positive outcome. Maria listened, her defenses slowly crumbling. Dr. Laura then asked Maria about her own fears and listened intently as Maria finally opened up about her worries for her family and her fear of becoming a burden. By creating a space for Maria's emotions, Dr. Laura was able to steer the conversation towards the benefits of treatment, not just for Maria, but for her loved ones as well. The breakthrough came when Maria, feeling understood and supported, agreed to start a treatment plan. This story illustrated how doctors could use emotional connection to guide patients towards better health decisions, proving that effective communication could indeed be life-changing. These stories show that the secret language of connection is not just about words. It's about reading the room, sensing the unspoken emotions, and responding in a way that creates alignment and trust. Whether in a high-pressure boardroom, a tense jury room, or a doctor's office, the ability to connect deeply and authentically can change the course of events. As the editor of Hardly, by mastering these skills, we can shape our interactions in ways that foster trust, build deeper connections, and achieve more meaningful outcomes in all aspects of our lives. Mastering the art of conversation is not just about knowing what to say, but also about understanding how to connect on a deeper level. One final story from the book perfectly encapsulates this. A marketing executive named Sarah was tasked with leading a team that had been struggling to launch a new product. The team members were frustrated, communication had broken down, and the project was on the brink of failure. Instead of immediately offering solutions or directives, Sarah chose to host an informal team dinner. During the meal, she asked open-ended questions about their experiences and frustrations, sharing her own vulnerabilities as well. This created a safe space where everyone felt heard and valued. By the end of the evening, the team felt more united and new ideas began to flow. Sarah's approach proved that connecting with others on a human level can reignite passion and creativity, turning around even the most challenging situations. This story reinforces the key point of the book. Effective communication goes beyond words. It's about building trust, understanding emotions, and aligning with the needs of others. By practicing these skills, anyone can become a super communicator, capable of transforming both personal and professional relationships. As the editor of Hardly, through mastering these communication strategies, we can unlock the potential to foster stronger connections, influence outcomes positively, and navigate the complexities of human interactions more effectively in the future.